Hello, good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. The top stories in the news tonight: government pledges unwavering support for press freedom and journalists' well-being. Ministry of Health ambulance procurement case to proceed as court dismisses preliminary objection. UPND celebrates by-election success, sees victory as sign of national strength. International news: M23 rebel group claims control of RUBAYA, a key mining town in DR Congo. And in sports news, FAS confers with NOCZ as Paris 2024 Olympics approach. These are more stories coming up shortly after the break.
Enjoy the benefits of an instant loan with us ranging from 1,000 kwacha to 750,000 kwacha paid express once collateral is viewed, valued and verified. Call us on 0763 595 359 or 0779 432 993. Classified Financial Express, here as your financial friend.
Camnet Television Main News in detail. Veteran journalist Derek Singela has urged the government to operationalize the Access to Information Law following its assent by President Hakainde Hichilema on the 23rd of December 2023 to create a more sustainable landscape for journalists to effectively carry out their mandate of reporting accurate information. Mr. Singela, who has served in the media for over 2 decades, has thanked the government for creating a conducive environment in which the interests of journalists are protected. He adds that journalists should equally take precautions before disseminating information to the public, as any compromise of the fundamental values of the profession could be detrimental to the country's development and security. Mr. Singela has, however, called for the government and the private sector to revise the remuneration of journalists, as the current pay scale for media practitioners is unsustainable given the current state of the economy. Today, 3rd May 2024, is World Press Freedom Day, which is being celebrated under the theme "A Press for the Planet, Journalism in the Face of the Environmental Crisis." More in this report.
Today, 3rd May 2024, Zambia and the world at large took time to celebrate the World Press Freedom Day, which was held under the theme "A Press for the Planet, Journalism in the Face of the Environmental Crisis." It goes without saying that journalists play an important role in society by keeping the masses informed, educated and entertained on various issues of public interest, including politics, governance-related issues, climate change, to mention but a few. Now, the state of the media fraternity in Zambia has previously been a subject of debate among practitioners and other interested parties, with the question as to whether the media are free to practice their mandate without being curtailed by the powers that be arising on quite several occasions. The state of media freedoms in Zambia have been one to wonder about. To understand this, veteran journalist Derek Singela, in an interview with Camnet News, noted that progress has been made, at least under the current regime, of creating a conducive environment for media practitioners in Zambia as compared to previous regimes.
They've created a conducive environment where the media can prosper and thrive. Then it's now the duty bearer, the right holders, who are the media, who are supposed to disseminate information, must be responsible enough to report responsibly, so that they don't exaggerate the news. They just report the facts. Once the media is factual, reporting the truth, in line with Zambia being a Christian nation, and we have what they call John 8, verse 32. If you stick to the truth shall set the media free. So the ball is in the court of the media and the government.
Mr. Singela, having been practicing journalism for over 2 decades, carries with him vast experience and has seen the challenges scribes in the country experience, with the outstanding plight being their remuneration, which has been for the longest period of time an outcry pending address.
Government must use the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection in terms of coming up with a minimum wage for a journalist. The Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection basic needs a nutrition basket that must be the basis upon which a minimum wage must be constructed. And like where we have a minimum wage of 1,500 kwacha. No, but it must be, we want a minimum wage that is elastic, that changes, that is moves with the times. Not where you have a minimum wage when it's set at 2,500, but the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection monthly, on a monthly basis.
Mr. Sinjela, in his practice, has been able to establish a publication of his own, which has been in existence for 17 years.
The newspaper was registered on Monday, 25th June 2007. Then the following year, that's when we then turned it to a limited company. So it's been up and running for 17 years. It's faring pretty well because we use the principle of producing within our income. So to produce a newspaper, we spend about 12,000 kwacha. Then every week we have income, let's say about 20,000 kwacha income in terms of revenue. So meaning that we are not making a loss.
Chanda Mwango for Camnet News in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, media expert John Kadani has underscored the necessity of specialized training for journalists to effectively cover specific topics. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Kadani explains that having journalists with expertise in areas such as the environment could have led to early warnings about a phenomenon like El Nino benefiting farmers. He observes that such training would enable journalists to report on climate change more effectively, potentially catalyzing social change.
With the planet now is based on the environment. You will see that Zambia's economy is suffering now because of the kind of weather that we have. We're undergoing the effects of climate change. So our lives now, everything, all the economies now will be dependent on the environment. And the media comes in handy in that now they are the ones with the duty or the role to inform and entertain and educate us on what is happening. Therefore, what it calls for, I think it is high time that now in terms of training, that in terms of practice, that now we need to begin to specialize in terms of our practice. Because issues of the environment now are big business, and it's time that now we need journalists who are specifically specialized in the issues of the environment or in the issues of reporting about their environment. This can also trickle down in terms of training, that we need to enhance the issues of environmental reporting. Because right now we are undergoing effects of climate change. And if we were well informed by the journalists, a lot of farmers would have been advised probably not to plant because of what was coming under the weather of El Nino. Very few heard about that. Why? Probably in part it could be that as a journalist, we're not doing fine in terms of informing our farmers. We're not doing fine in terms of informing the policymakers. We're not doing fine in terms of informing government on issues of the environment. One way could be that very few understand the dynamics about environmental reporting. So if we can specialize, if we can have reporters who are specialized in reporting about the environment, also in our training, if we can have specialization in terms of training, that these are being trained specifically to report about the environment, probably we'll do better in terms of reporting about climate change and the planet.
Government has urged media owners to improve the pay for their employees, particularly journalists who are struggling with low salaries. Speaking at the World Press Freedom Day celebrations, Minister of Information and Media Permanent Secretary Tabo Kamwana emphasized the importance of press freedom and ensuring journalists' well-being, especially amid its current environmental challenges. Mr. Kamwana has also called on both public and private entities to support the media industry by advertising in various media outlets. Meanwhile, the Media Liaison Committee Chairperson Ernest Chanda has advised the government to expedite the implementation of the Access to Information Law to enhance journalists' reporting capabilities. More in this report.
In the early hours of Friday, various media institutions gathered at the Freedom Statue in Lusaka to commemorate World Press Freedom Day 2024 under the theme, A Press for the Planet, Journalism in the Face of the Environmental Crisis. Speaking at the celebrations, Ministry of Information and Media Permanent Secretary Tabo Kawana says government has pledged to facilitate dialogue between journalists and stakeholders amidst the current El Nino drought the country is facing.
Our government pledges 6 things. Number 1, we reaffirm our commitment to upholding press freedom as a fundamental human right. We pledge to safeguard journalists' ability to report on environmental issues without fear of censorship or reprisal.
Mr. Kawana has also called on media owners in the country to improve the conditions of service for their employees, saying that without the media, society would not be informed.
That we are paying our journalists high solicit. Some journalists in some media houses have gone 6, 7 to even 8 months without salaries. How can people survive that? Media owners, we always have this pool.
And Media Liaison Committee Chairperson N.S. Chanda has called on government to institute an SI that will operationalize the Access to Information Act.
The government of the Republic of Zambia finally enacted the Access to Information Law. This is commendable, and we hope that the government will continue listening to our advocacy on many other issues. However, we await the actualization of this law. We therefore implore the government to issue a statutory instrument to that effect.
Meanwhile, UNESCO representative Samson Cantini says promoting free access to information amongst journalists means protecting democracy and the climate. He adds that UNESCO is committed to training and safeguarding the lives of journalists in the country.
Freedom Day, that the climate change is also a journalistic and information challenge. No effective climate action is possible without access to free and reliable scientific information. That is why this year's theme highlights the essential link between protecting freedom of expression, which is a global public good, and preserving our planet.
And United Nations representative Ali Saili had this to say.
We don't have any freedom. A press is not a choice, but a necessity. Our World Press Freedom Day is very important. And so I call on government, the private sector, and civil society to join us in reaffirming our commitment to safeguarding press freedom and the rights of journalists and media professionals around the world.
Cherish Siwode for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Christian Churches Monitoring Group, CCMG, and the Zambia Law Development Commission, ZLDC, have signed a memorandum of understanding in an effort to spearhead a more effective, transparent, and accountable electoral framework in the country. CCMG Chairperson Bishop Andrew Mwenda says the signing of the MOU between the two institutions will pave way for more resilient democratic institutions that can weather the complexities of modern-day governance. He adds that the partnership seeks to bridge the gap between the existing legal frameworks and the evolving needs of the country's electorate. Meanwhile, the Zambia Law Development Commission, ZLDC, says the memorandum intends to govern the law review process the Commission seeks to embark on. Here's a report.
On Friday, 3rd May 2024, the Christian Churches Monitoring Group CCMG and the Zambia Law Development Commission ZLDC signed a Memorandum of Understanding MOU in an effort to review Zambia's electoral laws aimed at enhancing democracy, justice, transparency and the rule of law in the electoral process in the country. CCMG Chairperson Bishop Andrew Mwenda, during the signing of the MOU, highlighted the inconsistencies faced in the law during elections, which compromises the country's democratic status as the outcome merely represents the will of the people. He noted that through the MOU, the two institutions will going forward seek to change the narrative by bridging the gap between the existing legal frameworks and the evolving needs of the country's electorate.
MJ has partnered with the Zambia Law Development Commission to be a part to the reform or legal reform of elections or electoral legal reforms. Why? Because we do not want just to become a people that are just acting or doing or shouting here and there, but we want to become a part of the process. We have the people on the ground. We have the churches who are members of our churches, people who are members of our churches, who needs to know what is the legal process in terms of elections. What does it take to somebody to become an MP or to become a member of parliament, or even to become a councillor? What does it take to become a president? So we have partnered with the Zambia Law Development Commission to become a people that are a people of a process rather than a people just of an activity.
Bishop Mwenda further states that through engaging in collaborative research, analysis and education, the two institutions will foster a deeper understanding of electoral legislation among stakeholders that are in line with the MOU. Meanwhile, the Zambia Law Development Commission, ZLDC, will through the MOU review electoral-related legislation following the recommendation in the last elections of improving the legislation framework. ZLDC Director Hope Chanda, on behalf of Honorable Chief Justice Ruth Chibabuka, says the activities which will be carried out following the signing of the MOU will culminate into a report which will be shared to the Electoral Commission of Zambia and the Ministry of Justice and other relevant authorities.
The Zambia Law Development Commission and the Christian Churches Monitoring Group, commonly referred to as CCMG, signed a memorandum of understanding. This memorandum of understanding is for a partnership between ZLDC and CCMG, and the main purpose of signing this MOU is for the two institutions to work together to review electoral-related legislation. As you are aware, some of the recommendations that came from our last election included improving our legislative framework, and this is what we intend to do with CCMG. This MOU and the activities we are going to carry out will culminate into a report with clear and practical recommendations that we are going to share with the Electoral Commission of Zambia, with the Ministry of Justice and other relevant government agencies on improving the legal framework, improving the management and administration of elections in the country.
Chanda Mwango for Camnet News in Lusaka.
The United Party for National Development, UPND, has charged that the recently concluded by-elections nationwide underscore the party's dominance over opposition parties. According to the party's Secretary General, Batuke Imenda, these results reflect the current sentiments and hopes of the Zambian people. Meanwhile, Mr. Imenda has extended gratitude to the victorious councillors and party structures for their dedicated efforts alongside the government in delivering development amid challenging circumstances which Zambians acknowledge. He acknowledges the public's recognition of the government's endeavors and the challenges the nation faces, attributing many difficulties to the policies of the Patriotic Front (PF) and some to natural factors.
Just general finished by-election is a show of strength on the part of the UPND. The delivery by government on developmental issues shows clearly that the Zambian people appreciate. We want to thank the councillors who have just won. We want to thank our people who were busy campaigning. They were traversing their words to make sure that they deliver, and they did. And we want to make it very, very clear that we are serious as government, we are serious as a party, as people continue to show appreciation for what we are doing.
A 28-year-old man of Lusaka's garden compound accused of killing a 10-year-old boy has maintained his innocence before the Lusaka High Court. In his ongoing defense, Nalukwi Akafekwa maintained to Judge Mwapewowa that he has no knowledge or involvement in the death of the 10-year-old boy, aside from being aware that the boy lived in the same neighborhood as him. In this matter, the accused is alleged to have abducted the deceased from school and later murdered and dumped his body in a maize field behind Emmerdale Police Camp. Here's a report.
Family members of the alleged murdered 10-year-old boy of Lusaka's Emmerdale area will have to keep their anxiety in check as the aid for justice to prevail remains high, as the Lusaka High Court has set 30 September 2024 as Judgment Day following the conclusion of the defense testimony before the court Friday. A 10-year-old boy, Chikondi Banda, is alleged to have been abducted and later killed on March 17, 2023, before his body was discovered in a maize field in Lusaka's Emmerdale area, much to the dismay of many when the matter winded the public in a continued defense after being found with a case to answer by Lusaka High Court Judge Mwapebowa. Murder accused Nalikuya Kafekwa, 28, told the court that he has no hand in the death of the 10-year-old boy. In his testimony, the accused testified that on dates March 16 and 17, 2023, Chikondi is suspected to have been murdered. He was at home with his wife and his in-laws in Garden Compound along Katimamlio Road. When he returned to his parents' house, a misunderstanding between him and his father erupted, forcing the accused to spend the night at his friend, only identified as Jackson Akafekwa, told court that he was apprehended from his friend's house by the police, who beat him up with an iron bar and later took him to the crime scene and told him what to say. When questioned about the MTN SIM card, which a message requesting for ransom from Elizabeth was allegedly initiated, Akafekwa denied ever owning an MTN SIM card. When also cross-examined by the state about his father, William Akafekwa's testimony, when he asked him about the death of the boy, the accused responded sorry. Murder accused Nalikuya Akafekwa denied before the court that his father never asked such a question and only said sorry because his father had been beaten by officers when they were searching for him. Akafekwa, however, admitted that the clothes and backpacks presented to court are his. In this case, Nalikuya Akafekwa, 28, of Garden Township, is accused of abducting and killing 10-year Chikondi Banda of Emmerdale area. It is alleged that Chikondi was killed on March 17, 2023, before his body was discovered in a maize field in Emmerdale area days after the boy was reported missing. Fingers crossed, both the family of the deceased boy and the accused await the verdict of the court on 30 September 2024. The clock is ticking with exactly 151 days remaining. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chibwili has dismissed an application questioning the jurisdiction of the Economic and Financial Crimes Court Subordinate Division advanced by former Ministry of Health officials. Rendering a ruling on the preliminary issues, Magistrate Chibwili ruled that the arguments by the defense that the Economic and Financial Crimes Court's period to hear matters within 5 months and 45 days is an infringement of Article 23 of the Constitution is baseless because cases are course listed by the National Prosecutions Authority in line with the laws that govern court procedure. In this case, former permanent secretaries at the Ministry of Health and others are charged with willful failure to comply with a laid-down procedure in the procurement of 50 ambulances.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has ordered for trial to continue in the matter in which 3 former permanent secretaries at the Ministry of Health pleaded not guilty to the offence of willful failure to comply with a laid-down procedure in the procurement of 50 ambulances. This follows the Lusaka Magistrate Court's decision to dismiss an application by the accused in which they raised preliminary issues challenging the jurisdiction of the court to hear their matter. The accused, 3 former permanent secretaries, Dr. Kenneth Malama, Caroline Mulalelo, and Dr. Jabin Luanda, who are jointly charged with Garden Asiagantu, a former health administrator, Mzazantele, Maximilian Bweupe, Rebecca Njovu, and former Minister of Health employee, Wilson Lungu. The accused challenged the court by raising preliminary issues on whether the subordinate court has the authority as the Economic and Financial Crimes Court to hear the case, which started before the amendment of SI number 23 of 2023 because the court was operating under the ordinary subordinate court and not to hear financial crimes cases. The accused also questioned whether the court transferred the case from the ordinary subordinate court to the Economic and Financial Crimes Court Division as per the law, and whether the action did not contravene the Constitution. However, Magistrate Chibwili ruled that defense lawyers misunderstood the concept of sessions and how certain matters found themselves in the Economic and Financial Crimes Court Division. The court indicates that the matters were moved to the Economic and Financial Crimes Court by the National Prosecutions Authority, who caused list matters, and not the subordinate court. Magistrate Chibwili also determined that the question of an alleged violation of the right to a fair trial against the accused person was advanced the wrong impression of the case being transferred to the Economic and Financial Crimes Court Subordinate Division, subsequently dismissing the matter and ordering for trial to continue. In this matter, the 8 are facing counts of willful failure to comply with the laid down procedure in the procurement of 50 ambulances. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency, ZAMSA, says the mop-up exercise conducted within the institution is paying immediate dividends, as over 79% of the health commodities procured through the exercise have been received by the institution. In a statement available to Camnet News, ZAMSA Senior Corporate Communications Manager Bradley Chigobe says the initiative has had a positive ripple effect on the availability of medicines in hospitals across the country, as the institution has started recording an upward growth in drug availability. He adds that the agency has since intensified the distribution of stock by effectively utilizing the 7 regional hubs across the country to ensure that all hospitals receive their allocation within the shortest possible time through the last mile distribution effort. Earlier this year, ZAMSA awarded 700 million kwacha worth of contracts to 24 local suppliers with the sole intent of immediately mitigating the out-of-stock situation of essential medicines and medical supplies at secondary and tertiary levels of the health facilities in the country.
The resolution by the Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency, ZAMSA, to conduct a mop-up is paying immediate dividends, as over 79% of the commodities that were procured through this exercise have so far been received by ZAMSA. Earlier this year, ZAMSA awarded contracts to 24 local suppliers worth 700 million kwacha, with the sole intent of immediately mitigating the out-of-stock situation of essential medicines and medical supplies at secondary and tertiary levels of the healthcare facilities in the country. This initiative is part of our 3-pronged strategy, has had a positive ripple effect on the availability of medicines across hospitals in the country, and we are seeing that is now an upward growth in terms of commodity availability in hospitals. ZAMSA has intensified the distribution of stock by effectively utilizing the 7 regional hubs across the country to ensure that all hospitals receive their allocation within the shortest possible time through our last mile distribution effort. ZAMSA remains committed to our quest of being a world-class supply chain of essential medicines and medical supplies for a healthy and productive Zambia.
A 20-year-old man of Choma Town in Southern Province has been apprehended by the Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, for allegedly trafficking in drugs. Mike Lifumbo, a notorious drug king, was among the DEC wanted list for some time and is linked to several illegal activities in Choma district. DEC's Assistant Public Relations Officer Teresa Mawere says the suspect was found in possession of 66 sachets of cocaine with a total weight of 3.96 grams. In separate operations, the DEC has apprehended 9 other individuals for trafficking in loose cannabis in Inchalenge, Mongo and the Copperbelt province.
The Drug Enforcement Commission has launched a major crackdown on drug trafficking. In a series of coordinated operations across several districts, we have apprehended numerous individuals involved in drug trafficking and possession. Some of the notable arrests include Mike Lifumbo, a suspected drug kingpin from Choma district, who was apprehended for trafficking in cocaine, and 2 individuals from Chelenge district found with nearly a ton of cannabis. On the Copperbelt province, traffickers responsible for supplying illicit drugs to various townships have been arrested, with seizures of large quantities of cannabis. Suspects from Ndola, Chilabombwe, and Chingola were among those apprehended. All suspects have been formally charged and will face court proceedings. The Drug Enforcement Commission reaffirms its steadfast commitment to combating illicit drug activities and related crimes across Zambia. We stand resolute in our mission to dismantle drug cartels and bring notorious drug lords to justice. Our dedication to this cause is unwavering and will continue to deploy all necessary resources and strategies to achieve our objectives. The recent successful operations underscore our determination and capability to disrupt the illicit drug trade and protect our communities from harmful effects. We urge the public to stand with us in this fight by reporting any suspicious activities and cooperating with the law enforcement agencies.
The Free Press Initiative founder, Joan Chirwa, says journalists are the custodians of information and play an important role in raising awareness about environmental issues and its impact on society. Ms. Chirwa has urged journalists to refrain from misinformation campaigns that threaten research and hinder public understanding of environmental issues. She adds that government should respect the constitutional right to freedom of expression, which is a vital part of journalism in Zambia. She stressed FPI's commitment to continue collaborating with other stakeholders to ensure that the voice of every journalist is heard and the press remains free and fearless.
As we commemorate this World Press Freedom Day under the theme, A Press for the Planet, Journalism in the Face of Environmental Crisis, we at the Free Press Initiative stand in solidarity with journalists across the globe and particularly Zambia. The past year has seen a troubling trend in the arrest and intimidation of journalists in our country. We have also had instances where journalists have been detained and forced to delete their work. We have also had some of the journalists summoned at police because of the stories that they have done, and they have been made to answer and probably in some instances asked to reveal their sources. These acts are not only an infringement on press freedom, but also a direct attack on the public's right to information. These actions undermine the very foundations on which a free and fair society must operate.
This is Camnet Television Main News. We'll take a break. Join us for more news shortly after the break.
Are you looking for a reliable and efficient courier company with international standards? Then let UBZ Courier, your trusted partner in swift and secure deliveries, be your ultimate choice. Whether it's a small package or a hefty consignment, UBZ Courier handles it all, locally and internationally. Our modern call center ensures personalized attention for every client. For seamless deliveries within Zambia and beyond, trust UBZ Courier. Call us now on +260 763 062 680 or visit us at plot number 15 Mwapona Road, Woodlands, Lusaka, Zambia. UBZ Courier, a world-class brand that can be trusted.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flavor. From crispy chips to creamy mash, potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen. Grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Palavana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right, healthy, big and tasty. For that quick fix or big celebration or that meal that brings family together, top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Enjoy the benefits of an instant loan with us ranging from 1,000 kwacha to 750,000 kwacha paid express once collateral is viewed, valued and verified. Call us on 0763 595 359 or 0779 432 993. Classified Financial Express, here as your financial friend.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
With this impending drought, it's time we look to alternatives of sustaining our crops. We as ISDP are promoting irrigation and water harvesting as the solution to challenges posed by climate change. Watch our 13-week series as we unfold the solutions for our crops. Catch us every Monday at 2040 hours, repeats every Tuesday at 1910.
Welcome back. Now in international news, a rebel group with alleged links to Rwanda this week seized RUBAYA, a mining town in eastern Congo known for producing a key mineral used in smartphones. In a statement shared with the Associated Press, a spokesperson for the M23 rebel group said the town was liberated. The Congolese army declined to comment on the situation. The decades-long conflict in eastern Congo has produced one of the world's worst humanitarian crises, with over 100 groups fighting for control of the mineral-rich area near the border with Rwanda. Many groups are accused of carrying out mass killings, rapes and other human rights violations. The violence has displaced about 7 million people, many beyond the reach of aid. Here's a roundup of international news for more.
M23 rebels in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, say they have taken control of RUBAYA, a key mining town for the smartphone mineral coltan, following days of intense fighting. The Tutsi-led M23 military spokesman Willy Ngoma made the claim on Thursday. A Congolese army spokesman in his response said he could not confirm if the rebels had seized the town. RUBAYA holds deposits of tantalum, which is extracted from coltan, a key component in the production of smartphones. It is among the minerals that was named earlier this month in a letter from Congo's government questioning Apple about the tech company's knowledge of blood minerals being smuggled in its supply chain. Most of DR Congo's mineral resources are concentrated in the east, where insecurity has worsened since M23 made a major comeback in March 2022. President Felix Tshisekedi blames Rwanda for supporting the rebel group, something Kigali has repeatedly denied.
5 months after admitting to killing 85 civilians in an airstrike, the Nigerian army has brought those it holds accountable to book. The Director of Defense Media Operations announced on Thursday that 2 military personnel were facing a court-martial. An army drone strike accidentally hit Tudunbiri village in northwestern Nigeria on December 3rd last year. Civilians celebrated a Muslim festival at the time. Major General Edward Buba told reporters in Abuja that the victims had been mistaken for terrorists. He added the army initiated disciplinary action against those culpable after an investigation was concluded. The accused are to face a court-martial for acts of omission or commission. Major General Buba did not provide further details. Nigeria's armed forces often rely on airstrikes in their fight against jihadists and so-called bandit militias in the northwest and northeast of the country. As US troops prepare their departure from Niger, they are now sharing an airbase with Russian trainers. US officials said international troops, including the Germans, resided in the Niamey facility. The US Secretary of Defense confirmed the reports from Hawaii on Thursday.
In Niger, you asked about Niger and the Russians being in the same space that we're in Niger. I think you know that Air Base 101, where our forces is a Nigerian Air Force base that is co-located with an international airport in the capital city. The Russians are in a separate compound and don't have access to U.S. forces or access to our equipment. And this is something that, again, I'm always focused on the safety and the protection of our troops, something that we'll continue to watch. But right now, I don't see a significant issue here in terms of our force protection.
Nigerians held several protests demanding the U.S. troops leave the country. Niamey and Washington began talks in late April for the withdrawal of soldiers stationed in 2 air bases. No timeline has been provided.
In our sports news tonight, the Football Association of Zambia, FAZ, and the National Olympic Committee of Zambia, NOCZ, held discussions today at the Olympic Africa Center in Lusaka to prepare for the Copper Queens' participation in the upcoming Paris 2024 Olympic Games. The Zambia women's national football team qualified for their 2nd consecutive Olympics after their historic debut at the Tokyo 2020 Games. FAZ President Andrew Kamanga says both FAZ and NOCZ are taking the Olympic preparations seriously. And NOCZ President Alfred Foloko expressed gratitude for FAZ's collaboration. Foloko emphasized NOCZ's commitment to ensuring Zambian athletes' participation. NOCZ pledged continuous support for the Copper Queens, citing the already existing Olympic solidarity funding in addition to planning around pre-Olympic training camps and friendly matches in Paris. To end the news at Camnet, here are the top stories once again. Government pledges unwavering support for press freedom and journalists' well-being. Ministry of Health ambulance procurement case to proceed as court dismisses preliminary objection. UPND celebrates by-election success, sees victory as sign of national strength. In international news, M23 rebel group claims control of RUBAYA, a key mining town in DR Congo. And in sports news, FAZ confers with NOCZ as Paris 2024 Olympics approach. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Numbers 6, verse 24 to 26. The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo. Thank you for watching Camnet Television Main News. Good night.